I'm Dan Horton here with Oasis TV in Los Angeles. And today we're with Segal, creator of the Visionary Intuitive Healing Method and also author of this fascinating new book, The Secret Language of Your Body. We've got so much great information to go through today, as well as a 1-minute process that Ina's authored that will teach you how to specifically deal with a certain part of your body and how to heal it. We're going to get back to that right after the break. But right now, please help me welcome Ina. Ina, welcome.
Thank you, Dan. It's great to be here.
Let's just start off talking about the Visionary Intuitive Healing. That seems to be the core of what you teach and kind of your springboard for everything else. So just to help us maybe understand it a little bit and help the viewers out there that may not be familiar with it, what's kind of the core message and what are some of the things that it involves?
Great question. Visionary intuitive healing is a healing modality that I actually developed from years and years of doing healing work and seeing things that did and didn't work. And one of the things that I teach people is to tune into their bodies and understand exactly what is going on an emotional, mental, energetic and physical levels. And then I teach them very simple, easy processes that they can do to heal themselves. And then I also teach them things about the universe and universal laws and how they can start to transform their whole life, not just their health.
Wow, that sounds like a lot, and it sounds like if people can really accept that and take into it, it really could transform their lives in maybe a lot of ways.
One of my translators in France, she was translating for me and she did the workshops and she decided to really embrace everything that I taught, even though originally she was very skeptical and almost didn't come to the workshop because she was translating later. And she had a cyst that was cancerous and the doctors told her she had to have an operation and she also couldn't have children. And she decided not to go for an operation but to actually use the healing techniques that she learned and see what happened in a few months, and if she needed to then she would have the operation. But it was amazing. She went and had the tests done and it was completely clear, no cyst, nothing. Then she said to me, well, you know what, you don't just teach about health, you teach about other things, so I want to manifest soulmate. And she goes, and it has to happen in 2 weeks before you leave. And I was like, wow, some pressure here.
So just a little.
So basically within 2 weeks she literally met this man who came to the workshop, and now they're together and she's about to give birth, so she's pregnant. And they're getting married, and she actually also started doing healing work as a job and has people on waiting lists for like 3-4 months. So I was like, wow, I'm like, that was a good meeting. There were a few different things that helped me. One was the fact that I can actually see inside people's bodies, and I discovered this after I did the healing on myself. And the other thing that I discovered was that once you tune into your body and you can actually do it properly, you can see inside other people's bodies as well. So anyone can do it. In fact, I've never met anyone who couldn't do it. I've met people who took longer. And there's lots of obvious things that are in the body. And if you know what the function is of each part of the body and you start to tune into it, then you can find out what's going on there.
So many interesting things to talk about with your book and the Visionary Method. I'm really interested right now in talking about kind of energy healing itself, because energy healing is somewhat of a, let's just say it's a concept that a lot of people out there don't really understand, even though it's maybe come into vogue a little bit more in the last few years, and it seems to be kind of at the core of what you're doing in a lot of ways. So what would you say, what would be something that you'd say to the layman out there that doesn't really understand energy healing, what it entails and some of the things that it encompasses?
What I would actually say is it's really easy to feel energy, and this is something that I teach all the time and something that I include in my 1-minute healing process. So what people can do to actually to feel energy is just rub their hands together. And as they're doing that, you're actually warming up your whole system in your body, because we have so many acupressure points in our hands. And then you just place your hands just next to each other and you're going to feel tingling sensations. So you already feel energy. And then what I get people to do is to work with color. And so if you imagine different colors, like let's say if you imagine red, the energy you're going to feel is going to be completely different if you're imagining blue. So you'll feel different heat, different sensations, and this is how I get people, you know, especially at the beginning stages of understanding this work, to connect with it and go, yeah, I'm feeling it, you know, I can actually feel it, you know, in my hands. And then you can work with it on yourself or on other people by putting your hands just above a part of your body or on that part of your body that you want to heal, or on someone else, and you might start to feel tingling sensations and kind of movements in your body. This is what energy is, you know, and science has actually told us that we are made of energy. So we're not actually physical beings, but energetic beings. And so it makes sense to work with it.
Sure, it does, whether it's quantum physics or Qigong or acupuncture or so many modalities. Very interesting what you touched on right there when you talk about color, and I noticed in your book too, obviously you're talking about the mental aspects, the emotional aspects, the physical aspects, and kind of how everything is connected in a system. And you just gave us that amazing story earlier about how a person went from physical to, you know, changing her life. How would you say, what are one of the examples that you could use on how the whole system kind of combines, and how your teaching and what you draw upon helps somebody harmonize that whole system?
When I started teaching, I wanted to connect everything together because I had gone to so many different workshops. And what I was finding was that people would teach different aspects of healing. So they'd go, let's talk about our minds, or, you know, the power of the mind, or let's talk about energy, or let's talk about emotions. And it seemed all separate and kind of a little bit disconnected. And I thought, but we have all of this, so let's connect it all together. You know, this is who we are. And so I started to focus on the body and go, well, what can we do, you know? And I thought, well, most of us can visualize, or we can at least think about things. So I thought, well, let's put the visual aspect together. We all need color. I mean, we can't live without color. We need to go outside and see things, you know, that are colorful to feel better. So I thought we definitely, I'm going to bring color in, and it's so easy, so simple, so understandable.
Also fun.
Fun, yeah, fun's important. And then I thought, touch. It's so important in healing, you know, so touching either different parts of your body and breathing. You know, your breath, or, you know, doing different gestures with your hands, or, you know, massaging different parts of your body, or acupressure points. Again, it just moves the energy that's stuck. So you know, and even voice, kind of singing or humming, and I just wanted to bring it all together so that people could find it really user-friendly. And all of us have different aspects that we're stronger in, and some aspects we're a bit weaker in. And I thought, you know, if I put everything together, then, you know, something will work.
And that leads me to kind of my next question is your life. I mean, you've done, you know, you're doing so many things. You know, you've produced over 30 audio programs. You've got a DVD out. You've got, you know, a fascinating book out. You've created your own method, as well as I was reading that you've created a line of music CDs for children. You know, I guess, you know, my next question to you is, with so much going on and all the traveling and the speaking engagements and the workshops, I mean, how do you, and a family of your own, how do you find time to do it all? I mean, wow, I'm just getting tired thinking about it. Excuse me.
I'm good at time management.
I guess so.
You know what, I teach people about how to live a more balanced life, and I know when you say all that, it sounds a bit crazy, and occasionally I go, you know, but most of the time I meditate every single day, you know, so I do healing on myself, I connect, I understand what my body's saying, you know, so I could be teaching a workshop, and then I might have 5 minutes and I just balance and ground myself and, you know, reconnect, and I try and really find balance in what I'm doing, even when I'm traveling, you know. And then when I'm at home, I have lots of time where I'm writing my book, or I'm doing stuff, and I have lots of breaks, you know, I have time with my children, or I go out with my friends. So, you know, and I haven't done all of this at once, you know, it's years and years of kind of work. So.
No, it sounds much easier to me now.
You can breathe now.
Speaking of that, you were talking about meditating and keeping yourself in balance. Brings in another concept that you talk about quite a bit, is divine healing intelligence. Talk about how maybe that helps you keep your life balanced, and maybe what, you know, for the viewer out there again, what that is, and maybe how they can incorporate that into their own practice, their own lives.
Yeah, well, yeah, this is great, because to me, it kind of brings me back to my own experience and my own story, because when I started, well, I decided to get into this whole thing because I was in a lot of pain, you know, like most people do, and I was pretty young, so from about 15 I had quite a bit of pain in my back and in my body, and I tried everything. I went to doctors, physios, chiropractors, and alternative therapists, and I just wasn't getting better. And at one point, when I was about early 20s, I wake up one day, and this was my turning point, and I was just in agony, like literally my back was twisted, I was in so much pain, and I said to my husband, Paul, you need to drive me to the chiropractor's office straight away. And he did, and every kind of bump in the road was like agony. And once I kind of almost crawled into his office, the chiropractor looked at me and he just said, your body's stuck. And I said, I know that part. What are you going to do about that? And he said, nothing. And I was like, nothing? What do you mean nothing? And he said, nothing. Your body wants to be stuck. Go home. And I was like, oh my God, I was so angry. So actually I didn't feel as much pain on the way back because I was so mad. But I started reflecting on that communication that our bodies have with us, you know, and when I got back home, I decided that I was going to find out this secret language of our bodies. And because I had been born in Russia and I came to Australia, I had to learn, you know, how to speak English. So I was familiar with learning a new language. I just didn't know how to learn this one. And so I thought, I'm just going to try everything. And divine intelligence kind of came into this because I thought, you know what, I can't do this by myself. I need extra help because I've tried, you know, I've tried everything. So I'm going to connect to this divine intelligence. Didn't really know how to do that except by asking. So I said, if there is something divine out there, I need help, and I need this help right now, so show me. And then I started meditating, breathing with the pain, counting backwards. And as I was doing it, I started to feel this warmth through my body. And it was like almost this golden light went through, and I just started to feel more peaceful, and like something else was there. And then I tuned into my body and actually literally saw my back. It was a bit scary and it was all twisted. And I said, okay, what are the thoughts, energies, emotions that are stuck here? And I started to feel all this fear and anger and frustration and stress. But what was really interesting about it wasn't just mine. I realized that some of it was from my grandparents who'd gone through the war, my parents. And I thought, oh great, I'm carrying everyone else's stuff besides my own. And so I said, okay, I'm willing to let this go, willing to let this go. And I literally fell asleep, and the next morning when I woke up, 70% of the pain was gone, and my back wasn't twisted anymore. So I thought, okay, now I'm really interested. Now I want to find out. You wake up in the morning and you realize I have a lot to do. So you start communicating both with that universal intelligence and with the intelligence of your brain and your body. And you start asking empowering questions like, all right, and this is an example, divine intelligence, I have a lot to do today. Please help me. Please support me. Please allow that this happens with ease, flow, and grace. Allow me to get everything done that I need to get done today, but with ease and joy. Let me be enthusiastic about the work that I need to do. Or let's say you're really open, you're feeling really good. All right, divine intelligence, show me something fantastic today. Help me to have the most greatest, most vibrant, most exciting day that I can have today. Give me some positive surprises. Show me how today I can receive more abundance into my life. Show me how I can feel even better than I feel now. Give me energy. Help me to experience my life in the most vibrant, positive way. Bring to me people who are going to inspire me. And what I say to people in terms of the divine intelligence is, you know, and you probably noticed it's in every single process in the book, you start with divine healing intelligence, is that we have access to this incredible divinity, you know, and why should we do it on our own, you know? It's too hard, it's a struggle, you know, but when we connect to something higher, we just feel that, you know, being taken care of or protected or, you know, safer.
So interesting with the divine intelligence and how much it governs, obviously, and it's kind of a foundation for you in so many things. Just kind of expounding on that a little bit. And you said that when you connected with it, especially when you were going through your hard time, when your back was twisted, and that you woke up and, again, 70% was healed. I mean, you're obviously tapped in. When you say that you're connected to it, do you ever feel, you know, we have a lot of concept of spiritual guides, of angels, of things of this nature. Does that come into it at all for you, or is it just kind of something that you tap into a flow and that moves through you, or is it a variety of things?
Yeah, it's interesting you ask that, because I have had a few really amazing experiences with angels, but just before that with divine intelligence, I use it not just for pain relief, I use it for anything that's going on in my life. So I'll say, you know, this is the issue I'm having, you need to help me now. Show me, give me an answer. You know, I need support, and I really encourage people to ask that. But in terms of angels, I had an amazing experience one time. It was quite a few years ago when I first started teaching visionary intuitive healing. And I was reading this book by Edgar Casey, who is a very famous healer in the 30s. And as I was reading it, I read this little excerpt in the book, and it said that he read the Bible about 13 times by the time he was 13. And one day he was sitting there and he asked, and an angel appeared in front of him, and the angel said, "What do you want to do?" And he said, "I want to heal children." And the angel said, "It's granted." And I thought, what a fantastic experience. I wouldn't mind this. And I literally, you know, I was just kind of thinking that to myself. And it was incredible. Like a few minutes later, I felt this presence. It was so strong. And I just looked, and there was this angel standing there. And I was like, "Hello." And the angel said, "Well, I'm here to share with you what your purpose is, if you don't know already." And I was like, "I don't mind clarification." And the angel said, "Well, you know, you are going to be traveling around the world. You're going to be teaching. You're going to write books." And this is way before I wrote any books. And you know, you're going to have a huge impact on people. And I said, and I was kind of like, that sounds interesting, but me being very practical, I go, but people have to know about me, and how they're going to know about me. I mean, it just seems so unlikely for it to happen at that point, because I've never traveled anywhere at that point. And the angel said, "Don't worry, you'll have publicity soon." And when the angel said that, I thought, oh my God, I've just made the whole thing up, you know, this is crazy. And I went and I said, "Thank you, bye." And literally I went downstairs and I told Paul, I'm like, I don't know if I'm tired or a bit crazy or what. And I told him the story, and he said, "I don't know why you're saying this, but I believe it." He's like, "Aren't you meant to, you know, like believe this stuff?" And I'm like, "I do, but you know, just once the angel said publicity, I kind of went like, spiritual beings don't say this." And it was amazing. It was Saturday, right? Saturday night, I had a friend over, and we were having a chat, and the phone rings about 9 o'clock at night, and I go, "This is my mum, I'm not picking up." And the phone keeps ringing, doesn't go to the answering machine. And I'm going, wow, she's persistent. So I pick up the phone, you know, and I go, "Hello." And the person on the other line goes, oh, I didn't think you'd pick up the phone. Actually, I'm a journalist for Women's Day. I think you have that in America as well, which is one of the biggest magazines in Australia for women. And she goes, I'd like to interview you." And I thought, I haven't, and my first thought is, I haven't told any of my friends, so they couldn't have pranked me. So I was a bit skeptical. And, you know, as we're talking, she says to me, "Oh, you know, I really want to interview," and you know, we organized to meet. And she said, "By the way, I have one last question for you." And I said, "Yes." And she goes, "Do you work with angels?" And I'm like, Okay, I believe it, okay. Like, if I wanted to make this up, I wouldn't have done as good a job.
Like, wow, if she doesn't believe this, we're going to put it right there in her face and make her believe. That's amazing.
Yeah, so I've had a few like that.
That's amazing. So you're tapped in the divine intelligence, you've had experience with angels, so obviously you're on the right path, which, you know, speaking on the right path, I know you're probably familiar with Judith Orloff, who talks a lot about intuition and the guide to intuition and things of that nature. And it seems like, lucky enough for us in society, people are becoming more and more in tune with their intuition, but it's still something that the masses probably aren't really familiar with. How do you use your intuition as opposed to, or in conjunction with, divine intelligence in bringing forth your healing methods to people?
Well, there is, I talk about intuition, there's internal and external.
Right.
So internal intuition is those gut feelings, is like when you just know, or you get these tingling sensations, and it's kind of like, it's knowing, you know. Whereas the external is when you get signs from the universe, right? And I'm always saying to
angels,
people, like angels, or, you know, like different other, there's many things, you know. And I always say to people, you know, you need to work with both, right? And so one is external, is you ask questions and you ask for signs. And internal, you focus on your feelings and you start to become aware of how am I reacting to different situations, you know. And then I discovered, after I actually healed myself, that I had this amazing ability that I could literally look at somebody, tune into their bodies and see exactly what was happening inside them on physical, mental, emotional, energetic levels, and also what happened in the past. So it was almost like I could see their stories and create a map for them of why they had what they have, the problem they have, and then this acknowledgement and this kind of intuition allows them to heal, because then the body goes, oh wow, you've seen me, you've acknowledged me, now I'm going to heal. Now we can start the journey. So this is why it's so important in my work. So just take a really deep breath in and just relax. And as you're relaxing, focus on just letting go of all the stress and all the mind chatter, because I know that the mind likes to just go on and tell us all the different things we need to do. So just focus on completely letting it go. And what I'd like you to do is first to close your eyes and then to imagine the color purple. Because the color purple is one of the best colors to clear the mind and clear the brain. So just allow yourself to imagine it moving through your mind and through the brain and just dissolving all the dense energies, all the thoughts that are no longer necessary and that cloud your mind. So what I'd like you to do now is to actually take another really deep breath in and just relax even further. A really good thing to do as well with this exercise is to actually light a candle. And if you've got a purple candle, even better. So what I'd like you to do is to light it now, and now become aware of all the thoughts in your mind, especially the negative thoughts. And I'd like you to imagine actually taking the negative thought out of your mind and actually observing as if this thought was written down, and putting it into the fire, into the flame of the candle, and observing as if it dissolves in the candle.
Within your work, when you talk about being able to recognize different avenues in people's bodies and what they're going through and situations of that nature, how do you transition that from you being able to help them as the practitioner, as the healer, and bringing forth the divine intelligence as we talked about, into them then being able to use this on their own to not only tap into what's going on with them, but to feel confident enough and to feel that they can be their own practitioner as well? Because I think that's maybe some issues that people go through sometimes on how to really develop that themselves.
Which is why I wrote The Secret Language of Your Body, because I felt like, how can I teach this to as many people as possible, you know? And I thought the first thing I'm going to do in the first section of the book is to write down a process that people can use to tune into their own bodies, you know. And the process is through relaxation, counting backwards, connecting to that divine intelligence, and I show them exactly how to do that, and all, you know, using their breath, and also just and asking for healing at the same time and using color. So I just decided to put it all together. And I thought, but also asking their body questions, you know. And what I say usually is, if you want to get in touch with your body, put your hands on the part of your body where you have pain. So let's say you might have it on in your stomach, so you place your hands on your stomach and you close your eyes because you need your attention to go within.
Right.
And then you breathe really deeply into that part of your body, and what that does is it connects your brain and your nervous system to that part of your body so that the messages can get through. So now you're really focusing on that. And then what you do is you start asking questions like, if there was a thought that was stuck in this part of my body, or was stored in this part of my body, what thought would it be? If there was a feeling, what would it be? And obviously give yourself time to receive the answers. If there was an experience, what would it be? And once people do that and practice it, it's so simple, it's so easy, and anyone can do it.
So interesting, and I'd love to talk about some examples of that when we come back. We just have to take a short break. We'll be right back with Ina Segal talking about her book, The Secret Language of Your Body, and so many more practical insights, health, well-being, and also the 1-minute process. You'll want to stay tuned for that. I'm Dan Horton. This is Oasis TV Los Angeles, and we'll be right back. Welcome back. We're speaking today with healer Ina Segal, author of the fantastic book, The Secret Language of Your Body. So let's talk a little bit about synchronicity now, because it seems like there's been a lot of synchronicity, there's been a lot of messages going on. You said something earlier about there's some synchronicity with your book itself. Can you talk to us about that a little bit?
There's been so many. It's just been like one synchronicity after another. But one of the funniest ones was actually to do with the foreword that I got from Dr. Bernie Segal. And originally I was thinking I really want to get a foreword from a doctor, you know, who understands this work and who is known in the community. And I couldn't think of anyone. And so I said again to the Divine Intelligence, you need to just give me the information when it's ready. And one day I was doing a healing with one of my clients, and literally this information popped into my head and said, Dr. Bernie Segal. And I was like, how could I have not thought of him? And so we contacted him, and he said, okay, send your book. So I sent him the book, and then my husband Paul and I, we were out, and Paul said to me, so what do you think? Do you think you're going to get a foreword? And as he said that, I turned around and there was a shop and it said Segal on it. And then I turned to Paul and there was a truck and it had Bernie on it. And I'm like, if that's not a sign, I don't know what else, you know, what is? And literally, like, I think a day later we got the foreword. So, you know, it was really amazing. And even how I got the publisher in America was just incredible. Again, I was tuning in, and before that I kept getting this message, not yet, you know, and like the doors are closed, it's not ready. And so I realized, okay, it's not just me who has to be ready, it's the universe. And then one day last year I tuned in and I said, well, what's going on? And it was like, the doors are open, you can start. And within 2 weeks we got a phone call from someone who lives in Australia, and she said to me, well, do you have a publisher in America? And Paul and I were saying, well, no, but we're looking for one. And she said, I'm really good friends with this amazing publisher called Beyond Words, who just did The Secret, and I think they'd love your book. And they did. So it was just one thing after another that was incredible.
Sounds like you're just very tapped in the divine intelligence, and it's kind of moving in a lot of different directions in your life. That's amazing. You know, one thing we haven't touched on yet that I'd love to talk to you about is a little bit about your family. You've mentioned Paul, your husband, who I know is incredibly supportive to you and your career. Also, your children, because it's interesting that your child, I believe it's Raphael, is also involved in meditation already and involved in healing. I guess he's a chip off the old block. Can you talk to us a little bit about Raphael and what he's doing? Yeah,
Raphael actually did a meditation CD for children, and he did it when he was 7 years old, so he's going to be he's 9 now. And he just really wanted to get into it, and you know, from childhood he'd always say to me, oh, you know, Mummy, I know how to heal. I can do healing on you. And he was like, I really want to do this meditation. So we sat down and we wrote it together. We came up with different, you know, we did it on color and different things. And then he recorded it because Paul records things. So he went to a recording studio and yeah, he was just really happy, and even adults have loved it, but we wanted to do it for children from a child.
Sure.
You know, and now my daughter, she's just turned 7, so she wants to do it as well. She's like, when can we do it? When can we do it?
So you're touching, you and your family, you're touching so many people around the planet. That's amazing stuff. I'm a little bit lost for words, but I'm going to try. So let's talk a little bit about the 1-minute process. We went through a little bit of that earlier, but we've kind of promised our viewers, so I want to go into that, if you would, and just kind of explain what that is in 1 minute, and maybe they can take that home with them and do something.
Great.
Okay.
So the first thing to do in any healing process is to relax. And the way you can relax is, if you're not a relaxed person already, is to tighten the muscles in your body and then relax, and do that a few times, and then start breathing slowly and deeply. And then what I say is, again, as I showed before, rub your hands together. And as you rub your hands together, do it for about 15 seconds. You know, just to, again, focus on the warmth and the heat that it generates, and then place your hands just next to each other, and you'll start to feel that tingling sensation. And then I ask people to actually visualize green for healing, because green is one of the best colors to heal the nervous system and actually virtually any physical problem inside the body. So you close your eyes and you like literally visualize that green, you know, and you intensify it. And then what you can do is you can actually program the color, and you can put your intention of healing that part of your body. So you go, okay, I'd like to heal my arm or my leg or whatever, or my stomach or whatever part of your body you're working on. And just hold that thought for another 5 seconds, and then place your hands on whichever part of your body working on. So let's say your lungs or something like that. And you close your eyes again and you breathe in and you visualize as this green color is going into your body and adjusting and cleansing any density or heaviness or whatever is stuck there out. And so you literally see the grayness coming out. And you can say something like, Divine Healing Intelligence, please assist me to clear and release any of this tension, pain, whatever you're working on. And then I ask people to repeat the word clear, which I have in my book. And the reason you do that is say clear, 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 because you want to clear that out of your body, but it also clears your nervous system so that the messages come through clearer and better. And then for people who have problems with their memory, it really helps for you to remember things, because now your brain starts to get clearer, you know. And then when you're asking for something to manifest in your life, you're going clear, clear, clear. And again, the universe goes, oh, you want to be clear, this is what you want. So I love when, you know, one thing can kind of work on different levels. And as you're saying that, you should start to, you know, relax and feel a bit better. But in my book, there's so many processes and more in-depth and really helpful. But this you can do anywhere, anytime. So let's say you have a headache. You read about it and you go, all right, headaches are to do with stress, overwhelm, tiredness, seriousness, too much going on. So just by reading this, I already know I need to slow down. If somebody's getting headaches again and again, they have to slow down. They have to release the stress. Now, there is a process in the book, in the section of emotions to do with stress. So I might go to that section. You do the process in the head, but you can go further. Let's say you go, all right, but what else is in the head? Oh, the brain. So then do the process on the brain as well. Maybe not on the same day, maybe on the next day, maybe on the same day. Depends how fast you want to heal. So you connect things. You might go, actually, you know, it's in the middle of my head, so maybe I'll do process on the hypothalamus because that's where it is, you know. And
since hypothalamus is connected to our balance, why not? You might go, pineal and pituitary glands are there if you have a headache around here. Excellent. I'm going to go and read about the pineal and pituitary gland, and I'm going to do the process because they are connected to hormones and hormonal balance, and we want the body to be balanced.
It's interesting that you were saying that, because I've been dealing with a little bit of an issue with my lungs, and you kind of spoke to that right off the bat. So the intuition is continually working for you, I guess, all the time. It doesn't really shut itself off, does it? It's just kind of, you see something and you move towards it.
Yeah, you know, and I think actually it's really interesting. The color you would use for lungs is orange, because it's one of the best colors for anything to do with respiratory conditions. And in terms of thoughts and emotions, which is what I put into my book, in the lungs, you know, there's definitely a bit of tension and stress, but it's also, you know, about sometimes we hold ourselves back from communicating, or, you know, it's almost like we hold a breath and we don't breathe deep enough. So it's really important for people to take the time to relax the shoulders, to breathe, to get the energy to move through. So very important, you know, and sometimes there's also, you know, deep sadness that you might not even be aware of, or hurt, or even a disappointment that can be stored in the lungs, that sometimes you'll remember it and acknowledge it, and it will release. And then you go, oh, I just feel so much freer.
You're just going to let it go.
Yeah.
Let it go through.
Yeah.
Very interesting. So talk to us a little bit about where you're going from here, and what awaits Ina Segal, I guess, in the next couple months.
Well, I'm traveling all around the States, so I'm so excited, you know, to do that and to be here, and also to Europe, and just talking to people about my book, The Secret Language of Your Body, and also about how they can heal themselves. And the other thing that really excites me is that healing doesn't have to be a lonely experience, and it can be a very fun experience, you know, especially when you work with colors, and I have a whole section on it in the book, and even a color card deck that people can play with.
Oh, really? That's fun.
Yeah.
So you can kind of be interactive, and sure.
What I want people to know is that you can get groups together, and you can work together in your healing, and it works even better because, you know, you can learn from each other, and it's so much more fun. And so I really hope that people don't, you know, people do both. On your own when you need to, and then with your family or with your friends. And this is the kind of work and book that you can share around and just practice and try different things, and then see what works, what doesn't, and then adjust it. I'm always open to people changing things and making it their own, and because to me that's real empowerment. Make something your own, you know, be creative, be playful, and have fun, you know.
Talk to us a little bit about Louise Hay. I don't know how much she's influenced you, but she's obviously very well known in the healing community, and it seems like there's some similar things that she talks about in some of her work as you do.